chop it up. Hey, and we are live. Welcome to the show, everyone. My name is Maximo, your host. I proudly use pronouns he, him, his. We are live at VodPod Media tonight with Martha Hernandez. Let's just call her Martha because she wears so many hats. She does so many things. But shout out to all of our viewers, everyone that has supported VodPod Media from the beginning. We're in 2023. Wherever you may be at, chime in. Talk to us live where you at in the comments section with where you're chiming in from. Martha is from Oakland, if I'm not mistaken. Martha, are you chiming in from Oakland?
Representing the Bay, Oakland, California.
All right, so just so you know, we're in San Antonio. This Friday night, the Golden State Warriors are coming down to San Antonio for a game in the Alamo Dome. And are you a Warriors fan?
Of course, gotta represent.
All right, well, they got last year. Didn't they win it last year?
I don't think it's luck. You know, it's definitely talent and incredible work.
All right, so she's speaking there. Hey, but happy Tuesday to wherever you're chiming in from. So let's get down to business. Martha, how you doing today? What's been good in your world? Tell us a little bit about who you are for our viewers who don't know you just yet.
Awesome. Thank you, first of all, for the invitation. I'm really excited to be here. I know we've been connecting on social media, other mediums, but I'm really excited to be here. Congrats on having such a successful podcast and putting voices like mine out in displays so other people can see us, right? Like we exist, we're here. I've been great. I am excited about what's going on right now presently, not necessarily the weather here in California. It's a little scary, I have to tell you, but overall, the way in which I've managed to this moment in my personal life, I feel pretty ill. So I'm really excited about being here and telling you about that and where I'm at and many projects that I have going on for my future.
You're doing a lot of stuff and I'm happy for you. You seem like you're ultra focused.
Ultra focused. You know what I am? I'm ultra driven. And because of that drive, I have really big dreams. Then I'm able to really compartmentalize what really matters. And I think that when we don't have a vision and a commitment to something, either to ourselves, our values, or to a community like the city in which we live, or our ethnicity or our culture, it's really difficult to get something done when you don't have that vision and that commitment. So I think it's not necessarily being ultra focused because I'm doing a lot of different things, right? Like running two companies, being an artist. I'm a single mom. I support my parents. All of those things that I do require different parts of me. So it's being where I'm at that time and utilizing those skill sets or talents that I have to my maximum. So it's really because of that drive. It's like who I want to become that helps me be who I am at the moment.
Excellent. So you're talking about a lot of good items here, and we do a lot of things on the show. People often ask me, well, what's your show about? Well, we don't have a general focus. We talk about everything. We talk about entrepreneurism, sports, culture, politics, people, you name it. We have power talks. We like to bring on people that are driven, people that are focused, people that are out there making moves. And you're making moves, right? I mean, I would say you've made moves, right? I met you out in the Bay Area. You were out there moving and shaking, networking, talking about your business. It is difficult to own and operate a business, if I'm not mistaken. I don't own too many businesses. I don't have two. I don't have any. But I know what it's like to be a brand, to be an entrepreneur, to also be somewhat driven. Talk to me a little bit about your business, madeBOS. What is it? How did you create it? And what you all do?
Yeah, thank you. So I've been in HR for a long time. I worked in retail. I worked in service, hospitality, distribution, supporting businesses, and really looking at ways in which I could essentially help the employees within those businesses. And I realized that even for companies that wanted to do the right thing, there were so many blocks and challenges. And one of them was this inability for the business to give information to the employee. And at the time, I was working for a Latino grocer, the largest in California, actually. And I saw so many raza, especially like Latinos, who were store managers making really good money. And I thought, oh my God, like this guy started from the bottom being janitors or carniceros, and now they're store managers making upwards of 100,000 with like 20,000 in bonuses. And I'm like, why can't this be a reality for other industries? Why are Latinos typically stagnant in entry-level jobs, and the only way they can get a raise $2-3 is getting a different job? And that's because there was a bias in outside of our culture, right? That we didn't really understand that that a language barrier is what one is keeping us from opportunity. So in an environment where with English, people could see your talents for who you are or who you were in the country that you came from. Anyway, in that moment, I realized, oh my God, what if there was an app that could help people see their future and then give them a plan on how to get there? And so I prepared, and like over the last, I don't know, I want to say 8 years, I've had this big dream of creating this app. Really launched back in 2019, starting with the app, now turning madeBOS into a full-on HR as a service platform that supports small businesses that are growing to also grow their employees with them. So we focus on the infrastructure, the key factors, how you pay people and what you pay them, the rules that you actually have in place to help people grow. We look at performance piece. How do you people to get to where they need to be, right? From a practice standpoint, all those components that are typically unattainable for small businesses, we do that for them. So we make it accessible to create infrastructure when it comes to people.
And so has this business been successful?
What do you mean by that? Like,
I don't know. I mean, like, how do you gauge the success of the business and the app, right? Is it the amount of users? Is it those that are tracking their career growth?
Excellent. Because we switch a little bit our focus from the app to actual infrastructure, now seeing success in several ways. So one is the number of employers that become customers, right? So now, and then once you become a mature company, we're still in, I want to say like the first 5 years of operation. So one thing that we have to really think about is how is it that the external world sees success for a tech entrepreneur? And unfortunately, success is, are you able to raise capital, right? So anything you see in the news is like, so-and-so raised 3 million from venture capitalists, right? Is that success? And so the answer is yes, right? You're able to raise capital because you have this many users. We fail at that. We failed at raising capital, like many other Latinas, right? Less than 1% gets invested in venture capital. But where we became successful is being self-sustaining, is reaching profitability without having actual external investment, and then investing back the money we're making with our customers into our technology. So this growth in building technology is lower than the company that's able to raise, millions because they can invest in the technology. We're growing more at a organic, we'll call it that, at an organic growth or pace.
Awesome. So this is very progressive. I think there's always been a movement of Latina entrepreneurs, at least in the last however many years. I mean, we know all of our tias, our moms, our abuelas have always been hustlers, always there making moves. But really, you're part of a generation that have taken this to the next level, right? I mean, we know many Latina entrepreneurs, tech entrepreneurs that have said, we're going to get involved, we're going to make some moves, and we're going to, take this to the next level. What is the state of tech entrepreneurism, maybe in the Latina space? And what are some of the barriers that prevent you from taking it again to the next level?
Yeah. I mean, I spoke of one, right, which is funding. But before I get into that piece, I mean, I already spoke a little bit about that. It's this idea that we need to go raise capital before we can actually start the business or like make our idea come alive. And that may work for the general Joe that has connections, right, already in either venture capital or the tech world. They come from that. They've already established their broke culture. They've worked for other entities where they have a name and their name is recognized. Unfortunately, I don't come from that background. So for me to say, hey, I'm going to go and build this, I was naive, and thank God I was naive. Otherwise, just like other people were like, oh, that's not for you. Why don't you just start? And many encouraged me to just do, a lifestyle HR consulting company. And I am so glad that I was so naive to say, oh, I'm going to be the tech, the big tech in HR and take on the world. And everyone's going to recognize the brand and the name, because having that big dream, Maximo, led me to where I'm at today. And although the success that everyone thinks of or sees when it comes to tech, let's say we're not there yet, right? In relation to users and all of those things that are typically recognized as factors of success. What I want to say is that one thing that I learned is not to let others measure my ability and capacity to get it done. And that freaking confidence came through experience. It's failing, not doing it right. It's doing it on my own. It's getting the customers, it's selling the product, it's hiring people. It's, in my own terms. And that shit is, it's fundamental to getting to that next level. And when I talk, what is the state of Latinas in technology? I can tell you this, every single Latina that started when I started back in 2018 talking about the thing, even those that raised capital, are not around where I'm at. They've exited. So is that success?
It sounds like it. It sounds like you're knocking down barriers, shattering glass ceilings. And let me ask you this as well, because I understand we can learn more about the entity, the organization at madeBOS on our screen, madeBOS.com. How can our viewers, how can people listening to this right now support?
Excellent. So, we all work somewhere, or we know someone that has a company and they may not have the resources to bring an HR person. If you go to our site, there is a free resource that we've put out there for companies to understand where they're at in relation to their HR. You can do our assessment, and then we'll tell you the things that you need to strengthen. You can get time with us. We can support you in that. So we make our products really accessible. That's one. We're working on making our career pathing app something that's accessible to the general public. Right now, it's something that is only available to those that, to the companies that work with us. But that's our next step, is to actually make that accessible to the general public. So in essence, the reality is, what is it that we want to do, and where do we want to see? What do we want to see? What's the change we want to see in the world? And when I think about that, it's like, why did I create madeBOS in the first place? madeBOS means made by own self. And even though we don't make ourselves, right? Like, we have a group of community and people who help us become who we are. The initial, that Ghana needs to start with us. The same with businesses, right? A business could have an excellent framework, lots of great people, but if the infrastructure is not there, it's going to be really difficult for that business to grow, and really difficult to retain employees and grow with you. So our focus is to make sure that we make those resources available so that there's sustainability, not just as the business grows, but also as individuals grow with the business. And we see this a lot with companies that grow fast. They make a lot of mistakes, and then next thing you know, they come the lawsuits. Businesses that grow fast, especially if you do raise capital from the outside, the company will outgrow your employees if you're not developing them, if you're not focusing on the right skill sets. So we want to make sure that, especially if you're Black and brown and you're building an entity, you're building a company, we want you to reap the benefit of that hard work, not somebody else, right? The investor should, but you should. And that's the piece that right now we're really focusing on.
Awesome.
So
yeah, so I am sure you're available for consulting, folks, for those that are listening, Black and brown businesses, those that are taking it to the next level, looking at the future of American workforce. I'm also sensing from you, Martha, what you talked about is this ganas, right? This passion, this fuerza. When you're talking to me here, you use the word driven. Where does all that come from?
I want to say, I know it comes from a lot of different places, but I think it's enthusiasm. It's enthusiasm for what I know, what it can be. When I was little, I hustled in many different ways. I sold mandarinas, I sold aguacates. I was in Mexico. I grew up in a very small town, and I saw my abuelito be an entrepreneur, my mom be an entrepreneur. She used to make dresses for quinceañeras and weddings. We used to sell chicken outside our house on weekends. I really didn't have the typical wake up, watch TV, childhood that a lot of people have. And so there's an ambition there, not ambition for material things. That's going to come. I'm not worried about that. There's an ambition for seeing my generation, for seeing people like me become and be and provide opportunity and do things differently. I'm tired of the same infrastructure that's traditional and that's boring. I want to have fun in life, and I know that others want to too. So wherever I go, and people feel my energy, they want to be around this. Like, at madeBOS, we haven't had any turnover. Like, it's the employees for me from the beginning. Like, they're still around. Why? Because we're having fun at work. And I think my drive comes from that. It's like this enthusiasm on what I see the future can be, and this sense of responsibility. I have no idea where it came from. I remember at my quinceañera, I had a misa. I had a quinceañera party. It was at a park, but hey, I got my quinceañera misa too. And, this is a 15-year-old. And I'm like, at that level, I was already with this consciousness that I was, thanking God, obviously, for the opportunity, but really putting myself there in front of him, the universe, and saying, I don't care about material things. Just give me an opportunity to do good for you, to do good for the world, for people, and just that service makes me so freaking happy when I'm able to. I take a lot of pride, and I coach someone, or even business owners that I work with, and they reach milestones. I feel a personal pride, and I know that's my ego, but oh my God, I freaking love it when someone gets the job. Or my network is so rich because of people that I've interviewed in the past, over 25,000 people working in talent acquisition. But when people recognize me, oh, you're Martha, 10 years ago you interviewed me, and oh my God, that was like life changing. I love it. That's where the drive comes from, is seeing the actual results of the work that I put in and the work that people put in, that we can make a better world together. I love that.
Hey, well, listen, exciting. It's a pleasure to know you and hear you. And we bring a lot of people to the table that have this enthusiasm as well. And so we've had a great slate of guests like yourself come through. We are 52 episodes. This is episode 52 at the Maximo Show here at VodPod Media. So Martha, thank you for your work. I'm proud of you. I know we know each other, associates, networking, but it's a pleasure to know someone like you. And many people are a part of this generation, yourself, myself, that wear many different hats. I understand you, along with being an entrepreneur, along with being a single mom, as you mentioned, you do a little bit of singing.
Yes.
So tell me about your singing career, your life. Are you an undercover vocalist?
I'm not really that undercover. I mean, if you're on my social media, you know that I love to sing. I'm on YouTube. One of my every year I want to be better. I want to become better. So this year, one of my big goals is to be a better singer, to do falsetes in a way that makes people cry. Like, music is so beautiful. It moves us. I write songs. So about 4 years ago, I released this album, Prefiero Mandar en Falda. And it's a corrido I wrote for myself, Como Me Quiero. But it's norteño banda. And the reason I did this is because I wanted to show people that, like my app, that if you have a vision and you work towards that plan, you could get it done. Without resources, without really knowing anyone in the industry, I could prove that within a year, if you focus, within a year, I was opening for Tigres del Norte. I opened for Kehlani here in Oakland. Like, Norteño Banda opening for an R&B artist, like top chart. I freaking did that, right, at the Fox Theater. And so again, when you put something and you focus and you do the work, like it doesn't come easy. It's not an overnight success, right? It's a process. And I think the key here, even as a singer, is enjoying the process. The singing happens in a second, right? Like a song is less than 3 minutes, but the process of writing the song, listening to it, then actually practicing it again. You practice more than you actually spend, actually doing it or recording it. I love that. And I think that when you fall in love with process, the actual result is the icing in the cake. Same with working out, right? Like I'm passionate about working out. I do all these things because I work really hard. I have, I'll tell you about the second company, but it's a very stressful life. So I have to deviate and I have to have these moments where I have to turn something off and turn something else on. And it has to be the creative, it has to be nature, it has to be music. But it came as a way to show people that this plan worked. And then next thing you know, I have a following and people are inviting me and I'm like, I'm just singing. So it's just an exciting thing that I never intended to be a singer and to be known as such. I think in the future, just my intuition tells me in the future, there's going to be a lot there when I'm able to finance my career. If I want to focus, in singing, which is another dream that I have, is investing in other women in Regional Mexicano. So they don't have to sleep with men to be able to get an opportunity. I want to be in a position where I can do that. But it really came as an opportunity to show the professional Martha in a career path of what you can become. And I did that with my singing career.
Another goal, another life goal, another passion. And before we turned the cameras on, we talked about aging. You just mentioned your future career. This is an idea that many people would believe, at least if you listen to societal pressures or norms, that maybe it's too late to attempt a career in singing, right? Some of the haters, some of the people in the background might say, hey, Martha, why are you wasting time on this singing stuff? You've got your business to run, you've got family. What would you say to those people? I mean, we've talked about going out there and attacking these items and coming into your own at age 41. I hope you don't mind me sharing. You mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
Talk to me about
that. Yeah. I'm never shy about that. In fact, I don't have anything against people who fix things. Right now I'm fixing my teeth. I have braces. Like whatever is good for you, what feels good to you. But one thing that I am very proud of is where I'm at in life and where I'm headed. I think that when you stop dreaming, right, and working towards those dreams, and it's when that wow factor becomes. And so I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of, podcast listening. And if there's anything I've learned is that we have to keep this wanting to do more or dreaming factor, this wow factor, this adventure factor. And the way I see my singing career is not in relation to monetizing or becoming, the next sensation. The way I see my singing career is for myself, is being able to write and express and put it out there. If 3 people listen, great. If 5 people listen, great. If 1 million listens, great. This is not for you. This is for me. And I think that's the difference between, people who get to their goals and people who don't, is that we're always thinking about whether or not I'm going to be accepted, whether or not someone's going to buy it, whether or not someone's going to enjoy it. And this is not about others. This is about you. What is your purpose? What is your value? And so I'm very focused and centered on what my value is. Recently, I had someone, said to me like that I was egocentric. And I think it's important to understand what the definition of that and like why I was called that. And it caught me off guard and I was feeling down. And then I thought, let me hear where it's coming from, right? Like listen to the person that's saying the thing to you and accept it and recognize it. I don't have to measure myself with your same expectation of life. I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And I am going to fulfill that hunger that I have, right? And so if I say, yeah, one day I'm going to become A, B, C, D, right? It's not based on your measurement of success, it's my measurement of success.
Yeah, that's great advice. I'm actually speaking to a group of young men this Saturday morning, afternoon, and I'm going to share a little bit about that with timelines and being where you're supposed to be at exactly the right time and accepting the call of being a leader, of being an entrepreneur, of being whatever that dream is. Many of us at a certain age stop dreaming. Right? I mean, even we talk about, the goals of singing. Look at this show. Again, we shot all of 2022. We shot 50 episodes and we're booming to 23. Everybody always asks me, well, what do you want to do with your show? And I'm like, well, we're still figuring that out, right? We're figuring it out as we go, right? We're giving people a voice. We're talking about ideas. One of the things I would like you to do, if you can, Martha, I mentioned I'm speaking to a group of young men. I would like you to look into the camera and speak to any young women, any Latinas, and give them the advice, like in a walk-off style. Just drop the mic on us about what you would tell them for those that are dreaming, for those that have goals, for those that have felt deterred, for those who have been told they're not good enough, so on and so forth. What do you tell those young women that may be still wondering about their place in this world?
Oh my God. I would say it's so easy to romanticize our struggles and to feel like others have to save us. Our parents, our friends, our siblings, if they're doing better than you. But it's no one else's responsibility to do that work but you. You have to save you. And what I mean by that is you gotta do the work. You have to understand that this is not an easy thing. Like life is about challenges and the journey is about problems. If you don't understand that that's a factor, then you have it all wrong and you're not gonna achieve success or happiness. Because if we are only thinking about that happiness, right? Like it's gonna be so hard to reach it because it's very few moments where we have that high. So you have to be comfortable. You have to start being comfortable with the problem, with the situation, with the pain, and live it and enjoy it and say, I'm never gonna fucking be in this place again. When I was broken, I had no money to take my child to McDonald's. I'm talking 6 years ago, guys. Okay. I didn't have money to pay my bills. And this is when I left my 6-figure job so I can start my business. And I wasn't making money, but I didn't give up because I knew deep inside here that I wasn't going to let myself down, not other people. I didn't want to let myself down, not my dream. So I worked hard for it. I didn't give up. And I knew I was going to make it. It was a matter of time. And so years passed, I finally became a successful entrepreneur. I was bringing money to the business, and then a big opportunity came up. Because of the work I was doing, I was able to start my second company. And then the money came, and then the investment came. The state of California, like we wrote legislation for my second company. We just started last year with 2 other partners called ESO Ventures. We wrote legislation to the state of California. We said, no, fuck investors. We're going to do this a different way. And we got 18 million. Now I run a fund and I'm investing, right, with my team. We're investing in entrepreneurs that they're working in their businesses at home so they can take that leap and make it a reality. Like, think about that, right? Here's this girl from Chavinda, Michoacan, selling chicken at 7 years old on the weekends. And look at where I'm at now. Like, I can't even fucking believe it. But it's real and it's true. But I didn't let others do that work for me. I did that work for me. So you have to do the work. You focus, you stick to the plan, and you work on it every single day. Even if it's a busy day on your 9 to 5, you come home and you have to give 1 to 2 hours to your big dream. It's no one else's responsibility. It's yours.
I like it. I like it, Martha. And so you've alluded to a lot of things. You've talked directly to some other things. One of the things we talked about is, balance, work life, right? I mean, you talked about working out, tuning out all the stress, right? Because I'm into wellness, I'm in the health and fitness space, love and inspired by people's grind, but I also know we ain't grinding 24/7, 365. It's important that we take a few minutes, a few hours of our day to get that rest in somehow, that recovery, right? From a wellness, balance perspective. We know mental health is something that is severely underspoken to and under served in this country. And that's for better or for worse. I mean, it's just the way it is. Now, we do know it takes a lot of work to be successful. You are in the fitness space as well. You enjoy working out. I believe movement is medicine. Doing the work in that way is the physical manifestation of our grind. So I see you like to get after it. Talk to me a little bit about your fitness ventures.
Yeah. So I used to box and I loved it. I can't go to the gym, and I have to do intense workouts. And there's a reason for that, right? Like, not everything's pretty. I went through a really difficult divorce, almost lost my home. I've been in all different factors that drive people, anxiety, panic attack, that shit. I went through it. About 7 years ago, I was diagnosed with chronic anxiety. I live with this every day. Every time I'm going to travel, it's a week of agony. But there's one thing I know, is that I'm going to get through it. And I know what I have to do to get through it. I have a therapist. I shower every morning or every night, depending on where I'm working out, with cold water. It's been years that I've always only showered with cold waters. I don't drink caffeine. I stopped drinking alcohol. I'm focusing on the things that are healthy for me, including therapy every other week. I do that now because now I understand the necessary things that take care of me, right? Holistically, my faith, my well-being, my mental health, all of that. And so I didn't know the science behind mental health. No one taught me that. Like, no one taught our parents that. And, I would stay quiet because I don't want to be a perrucha, or I stay quiet because I don't want to be malagradecida. And everything had to be a la carrerita. And I'm like, where did that come from? I always pressured to do things fast, to be home early, and I realized it comes from this Pueblo mentality where women couldn't be out and about. And that's how my mom taught me. So it's not her fault that that's how she grew up, but it's my responsibility to break that shit, because we're not living in that time and we're not living in that moment anymore. Another thing too is that, especially for young people, and I see this with my 15-year-old son, is that we're so engaged with social media. It's endorphin, right? Like, we're happy and seeing everything on demand. So there's very few things that are going to get us to feel excited about, because we have it right accessible in front of us. So we have to create space to be bored, to do nothing, to think. And that's a balance that I'm starting to, now at 41 years old, I'm learning to do better. My skin cleared up. I'm feeling beautiful. Like, I see my abs. I'm feeling fine. Like, all the things that I didn't have when I was 20, I have it when I'm 41. And I can't wait to see what I'm going to look like when I'm 50, because I know I'm going to be like in a place where I'll feel really proud of myself. So it's, again, it's this journey of learning and being conscious of the things you're eating, the things you're putting in your body, and like, who do you want to become? And I feel that when it's expensive to be poor in all aspects, poor of mentality, poor of dreams, poor financially. So, within the last year, like, I always have my goals and work towards them. I wanted to fix my credit because I want to buy more properties. So, I got it to almost an 800. shit, I did that within a year. But I focused, right? Like, this is what I'm going to do. What do I need to learn? And started reading. I wanted to have a more balanced life. I bought a book called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. I started learning the science behind anxiety and what it does to our brain and why we have to take care of different things and intrusive thoughts. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I realized, oh my God, I'm having that. Meaning, all of a sudden, something happens in your mind and you're not conscious, and like immediately your body has a reaction and boom, ya nos sentimos nerviosos, right? Te sientes con nervios. And I didn't even know what nervios was. So again, it's that consciousness, but it's you being responsible for your body and learning. So balance is not just working out; it's also, what comes with that. Like, it's our nutrition, it's what we're feeding our brains, it's how we're spending our time. All of that, all of the above.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that about the cell phones and technology, podcasts, what we take in on a daily basis. One of the things on this show is we have been proud and prideful about how we deliver content to the masses. Listen, we've never went TMZ, we never went gossip, we never went cheese man, we never started out here rumors and all that, right? Because we want to put good content out into the airwaves. There's so much negativity out there. There's so much bad energy. There's people out there trying to do clickbait and things of that nature. We try to bring on some of the best, some that are going to leave people inspired, whether it's a nugget here, a gem there, or the whole show. We have a lot of viewers and supporters. We have 3 live viewers right now. So shout out to Cheryl and Mickey. We've got people that support us every week. We've got people all throughout the country who watch, people out in Philly, Arizona. Thank you for supporting the show. This show will be on replay on Facebook, YouTube. We'll make sure that you get the link, Martha, and that way folks can go ahead and share. Let's talk a little bit. I want to go back. You're alluding to aging, right? You've talked about you're 41 now. You said you can't wait to be 50 and see what happens and what's going on in your life then. That is not typical language that I hear from most women. We talked about the different societal expectations and standards that are placed on men and women, right? With regards to aging and beauty and relationships and things of that nature, being in relationships, being out of them. Talk to me a little bit about, this evolution and this growth, right? And I mean, you're touching on so many good items here. I mean, you came ready. Are you always in this mood? Are you just ready for the show tonight?
This is who I am. I'm like ready for show always. I think, about aging, like, when did I start taking care of I'll talk about like what people see, right? Like my skin and my hair. And I wasn't conscious about all the things that I was doing that wasn't necessarily healthy for me. And I went on a date once and this guy said to me, te cuidas, meaning like you take care of yourself. And I didn't understand what he meant by that. But I went on this, like, it was kind of like a trip with other women. It was like a music thing.
Retreat.
It was more like a festival, like a salsa festival. And
Okay.
I got to live with other women for just a few days. And I realized, sí me cuido, right? Like washing my face in the morning, washing my face at night, like brushing my teeth several times a day, putting vitamins in my hair, drinking vitamins, eating well, drinking a lot of water. Like all of that is cuidarte. And I feel like it is so unfortunate that the younger generation is not really paying attention to those things. We're so fixated about the easy solutions, right? Oh, I can fix my nose. I can fix my skin. I can go and do all these different things that it could be an easy solution. And that's okay. Like many people go into those industries, right? And they make money off of that because there's a demand for it. And if you have the money and you feel confident and that's something that's going to make you feel great, do it. Maybe one day I'll do something. I don't know. But all I'm saying is that we should not live a standard or live our lives in relation to what others expect of us. You live the way in which you expect your life to be. And being intentional, what's the type of energy or attention you want around you, right? And especially on the content we put out. Like if you look at my Instagram, I dance a lot. I do it. I exercise. I show my life because I my intention with that is not necessarily for you to see how I live, is for you to see my evolution. Because if there's one fan that I have, is me. I watch my shit. I don't watch other people's stuff a lot, but I watch my stuff. I go back, I see what I did last year, and I'm like, oh man, that was amazing, right? And so if you're not your number one fan as you are, then you got to do some work. And it's not physical. The work is here. It's your soul, it's internal, it's feeling confident with who you are as a person. And that comes with going back to the you asked me, like, are you successful? Is this successful? And the definition of success is really doing your best at that moment. And if you did your best at that moment in that day, then you have achieved success. And that, again, it's based on how you measure it. So in relation to aging, I'm just excited about what I do now. Like, I kid you not, when I was writing, I had my attorney and we did my my estate. If you're a Latino, you own a home, you own something, you should put it in a state, right? Like, make sure that you're set and your family is set. And so anyway, I was writing this thing, and I was so excited about writing who was going to keep what and how I was going to divide my assets once I was gone. And I was telling a friend about it, and I'm like, oh, and so this is what I'm going to do. And I'm like, oh my God, is this me being excited about dying? Like, I was fucking excited about dying and the legacy I was gonna leave behind, and the people that, get to enjoy this hard work. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy my hard work. I'm not one of those people that say like, oh, I'm gonna save. I enjoy my money. But I'm also very smart about long term how I want that money to create opportunities for my son, for my siblings, for their kids. And so that's the piece that I'm excited about in terms of aging. Also, I've been single for 10 years. I fucked up in choosing my partner. And there were many great moments with the person that I married, but I wasn't the right person for him. He wasn't the right person for me. I made my life miserable. I recognized my mistakes and vice versa. But I built a different woman, and I'm excited about this woman. So I'm excited about who comes in the future, whether it is when I'm 50, when I'm 60. All I know is I'm going to travel the world, and I'm going to be in a position where I'm going to invest in other people. And that is something I look forward to. I love what I do now, but man, I'm excited about what I'm going to do in a few years.
That's exciting, and I'm glad to hear that. And part of the reason we have people like you on the show as well, because steel sharpens steel, iron sharpens iron. I assume that you want to be an advocate and a supporter for other people as well. Are you available for folks to reach out to you for consulting, for advice? I mean, for whatever it may be. I mean, where can people contact you?
Yeah, so madeBOS.com. You can just, let us know that you need support. Martha Hernandez at madeBOS.com. If you follow me on social, Marta Soledad, send me a message there. We can connect. I think I'm not I don't like when people pick my brain, and I never pick people's brain. That's not a thing I do, right? Like, it's not. But this is what I'm about. If you're serious about something, I don't want to convince you to be an entrepreneur. This is the work you have to do yourself, right? You haven't done your homework. Like, don't waste my time. This is stuff, right? Like, hey, I have this issue and I need an expert advice. Reach out to me, right? Otherwise, like, listen to podcasts or the content is out there. What I'm saying is, like, we take care of people by being specific on the thing we need and how we need their support. I don't take any customer, right? You have to be intentional, and you want to do the right thing for your employees. Because my here to cover behind on mistakes you continue to do. If you are a stubborn business owner and you want to do it your way, do it your way. We're not the, but if and you want to do the right thing for your employees and you want to grow, we can help you get there. So it's an open mind to want to be better.
Awesome. Awesome. And so, and also, folks, support her YouTube channel too. Share the music. Let me ask you, you mentioned podcast music. What are you listening to right now?
I am listening. Well, there are a couple things. So one is, oh my God, I forget her name, but
what does she talk about?
It's called Unfucking Your Brain. She talks about traditional and patriarchal relationship with money, and it's just amazing. It's all the different ways in which, primarily women, this is for women, how we typically engage with power. And so the last episode was about our relationship with money, and I feel like listening to things like that, it may not be true for me, but it's true for a lot of people. And then I'm able to, have a conversation with myself. Have I been there? Have I done that? And even when I see things in the future, like my patterns, then I can catch it and say, oh my God, this was ridiculous. I should not do this, right? Where is this coming from? And then I can ask myself that. Now I have grown-up conversations with myself, and it's all because I'm feeding the brain and I'm becoming conscious.
Great. And so I've heard you reference your parents. Would you like to give them a shout out right now?
Sí, a mi mamá y a mi papá. My mom is, I wrote a corrido for her called El Pilar, and it just talks about how she has really driven my sisters and me. I have two sisters forward. And, sometimes parents, right now I see my mom in her best, I honestly think it's her best years. I took her to a nightclub, and she's enjoying that. Like, she had alcohol for the first time. She used to always criticize people that would drink, and even though I don't drink, like, she drinks the margarita I was gonna drink, and I love it. I took her to Europe, and she kept thanking me in the same sentence as God, like gracias a Dios y a ti, and those things is like, man, to be able to do things like that for your parents. Fixing her teeth, like shit that's so expensive, that's sometimes unattainable, right? Like, because of insurance and all these things, and then the systems that in reality are just effed up. But being able to do things like that for your parents is so, it's life-changing. Your parent and your kid. Like, I even see my kid and the lifestyle he's having, and compared to his friends, just exposure to different foods, like that in itself, right? It's so eye-opening, and cultures. So anyway, mi mamá y mi papá, my mom helps me so much. I couldn't be here. I couldn't do what I do if it wasn't for her. She's my backbone.
Awesome. And Monday is Martin Luther King Day. Any thoughts on Dr. King Day?
Man, I see him, and most definitely the African American community. I'm from Oakland. Like, I live with brothers and sisters here. And one thing that I have to say is, the first people that the lend a hand to me were Black. My, math teacher, Ms. Brooks, Black. Romeo Garcia, who helped me get into college, Black. And so I feel like the African American community has definitely opened doors. They've paved the way for people like us here, especially in Oakland, to be where we're at. And there's no way in which we can live without, right? But in community and in support of each other, it takes one person to have a dream, and then we all follow. Like, then we become the person with the dream, and so it's a ripple effect. So. Yeah, I'll be in gratitude. I'm in gratitude every day, but on Monday for sure, most definitely, for his legacy and again, his hard work. Like, that's a person that saw an opportunity, saw a need, and then felt responsible and went for it.
Yes, we're all indebted to Dr. King. VodPod Media here in San Antonio is a proud partner with Dream Week, which is like a Geneva-style convention idea event of conversations, panels. We are hosting several of those conversations in San Antonio next week. Make sure you check it out. Google Dream Week. VodPod Media is a black and brown company, so make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share here to VodPod. You can have access to this show, More Than Magic with Kirsten Thompson, the San Pluto Show with Amzai Austin, A League of Their Own with Carolina Teague, all of the great content we're putting out. Martha, we're coming to the end of the show, but I want to give you the last words. I want to tell you that it was a pleasure having you tonight. I am inspired by you. I don't get inspired easily by people. And I will also say you've set the record for my show for the amount of F-bombs dropped in one live stream. But I'm not mad at it. I'm not hating on it. So thank you so much for being here, Martha. Let's get the last words and we'll let you close the show.
Well, first, I want to apologize to all of the
you're good. It's an adult show.
Good. Please don't listen when your kids are around. The last words, I guess, all I have to say is like, man, life, it's beautiful. It's an adventure. And when you're feeling down, there's so many things you can do to get yourself out of that depression, anxiety, etc. And, people say like, reach out to somebody and da 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 da. But again, like, this is you. This is your responsibility. Don't let yourself get there. I got myself get there. I got burned out. It feels horrible. I've been there where you feel like there's no exit, and you're afraid of being afraid. Like, but once we're in this high, like, how do we stay there? It's really balancing and making sure that you stay in that consistent journey of learning and growing. And so, again, it's no one else's responsibility but you. Like, we all have the capacity, regardless of where we came from and what our circumstances are. If you start today learning something, focusing on something, dreaming about something, finding your purpose, right? And it sounds so like cliche, but it's real. Finding why you're here in this life, even faithing it until you actually find it, until you make it, is so important. And even though people say like, you're never alone, we are alone. This is a journey we have to go by and through by ourselves, with the community whenever we need them to reach out to them. But this is your life, and there's only one, right? The people say like, oh, you only live once. No, you only die once. You live every day. Make that count.
Okay, so we got questions. I knew that we were going to have the closing thought, but we got questions popping in from the comment section. We got questions coming here. Someone has commented and heard, "Why are you here then?" You mentioned in your last statement why we're here. Why are you here, Martha?
Here in this life or in this podcast? In
this life, not the podcast. This podcast ain't that important.
I'm here in this life, which is why I'm also here in this podcast, because I believe that there's something about me. There's a gift that I have where I can help people take the leap from where they're at into where they could be. And so everything that I do in my life purpose is about that. The companies that I've built, the organizations that I engage with, where I spend my life has to be in alignment with my life purpose, helping people be where they're at and take the leap into where they could be.
All right, there it is. You got to love it. We live it here. Passion, power, purpose. Thank you so much, Martha. Thank you everyone for watching tonight here at VodPod Media. We're going to take it home. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Woo!
Eso.